전 세계 4대 방송사가 한국의 윤석열 전 대통령 탄핵 방송을 했습니다. 세계적으로도 매우 보기 드문 탄핵 재판이기에 모두 다 뜨거운 관심을 보인 모습인데요. 각국 방송사마다 모두 제각각 다른 반응을 보였는데 이를 종합해 보겠습니다.
South Korea just kicked its president out of office. We're talking about Yoon Seoul, the one who declared martial law back in December.
주문, 피청구인 대통령 윤석열을 파면한다.
And what we're seeing right now, a huge range of emotion. Opponents of President Yoon literally dancing in the street, some of them crying. But his conservative supporters, many with Stop the Steal signs, are devastated, saying they think the president is being stolen from them. The bottom line today, South Korea's highest court said when Yoon tried to impose martial law, that violated the Constitution. So he is done being president, effective immediately. And as for what happens now, there's going to be an election within 60 days to pick a new president. Until then, the prime minister is in charge. Yoon, though, still faces a criminal trial for his martial law declaration, and he could ultimately face years in prison. Yoon is South Korea's second president to be removed through impeachment after President Park Geun-hye in March of 2017. And looking ahead, South Korea faces new stiff U.S. tariffs, so the country will have to elect a new president, one who could go toe-to-toe with the Trump administration.
The Constitutional Court in South Korea has officially ruled to remove impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol from office. Yoon had sparked a political crisis in the country last year after he briefly imposed martial law. Protesters who have been calling for Yoon to leave office cheered as they heard the news. The case has split the country with millions of supporters and opponents taking to the streets in recent months. Yoon was arrested in January in a massive police operation while thousands of his supporters rallied outside his residence. South Korea's parliament had impeached Yoon for ordering martial law with no justifiable grounds. He also faces multiple criminal charges, including leading an insurrection that could lead to life imprisonment or even execution. Now, journalist Fabian Kretschmer joins me now from Seoul. Fabian, finally a verdict. How was the moment received on the streets of Seoul?
Of course, the Yoon critics, they were happy. I mean, they are demonstrating half a kilometer behind me. I'm in downtown Seoul right now, and of course they are cheering. They wanted Yoon Suk-yeol to be out of office, and they have basically achieved their goal. However, the Yoon supporters, they are sad, and they are actually gathering at a different part of town, actually near the presidential residence. And of course, they are not happy to see the result, but so far, and I think that is the most important news, it has remained peaceful and there are no violent escalations so far.
What's been the reaction from Yoon's party, and what are they telling their supporters?
Yeah, so the first reaction from Yoon's party, from the ruling party, is that they accept the ruling by the Constitutional Court, and that is really an important signal, because if they would give a different message, then Yoon Suk-yeol supporter might feel inspired or might feel emboldened to maybe also take it to the streets with a violent protest. But so far the messaging by the ruling party is that we have to accept the ruling and we have to accept the outcome, and I think that is really important to calm the situation down and to de-escalate things.
In fact, the decision was unanimous, and you can see from the crowd behind me, these are people who had been calling for the impeachment, and you can get a sense of their elation. They're playing music, they're cheering, they've been cheering. Just in the past few minutes, they've been watching a live broadcast from the Constitutional Court. This is the outcome that they wanted. They said that Yoon Suk-yeol broke the rules and needed to be punished accordingly. Now the path of political transition begins. Crowds here are cheering, they're excited. This is the outcome that they wanted. But it's worth remembering that supporters of Yoon Suk-yeol are also on the streets. They're also gathered in their thousands. They have been saying that this process has been politically motivated, and they say that it's been unfair. Now, those people will, of course, be disappointed, but the much larger group of protesters, these people gathered here.
How much has all of this cast a pall over that very well-cultivated image that South Korea has as a modern and vibrant democracy, and how much did all of it remind people in South Korea of the more painful memories of times of dictatorship in the past?
Lasted for a few hours, of course, but it shocked many South Koreans, many of them young South Koreans who had never experienced anything like this. Now, what the people here have been saying is even though that martial law only lasted for a few hours, it disrupted the image of South Korea as a vibrant and healthy democracy, and as a result, Yoon Suk-yeol needed to be held to account. Now, they will have the chance to elect a new leadership. Recent polling suggests that many people became disenchanted with the ruling party as a result of all of this. More than 50% say that there should be a change of government, that there should be a new leader, because they had such a strong sense of disapproval over the actions of Yoon Suk-yeol, who they say essentially violated the powers of the president, who called martial law without reason. Now, South Korea's constitution allows for the president to call for martial law in situations of an emergency, such as a situation of war, not a political one, which Yoon Suk-yeol had attempted to justify calling for martial law, saying that the opposition was essentially blocking parliament from doing anything. But the court today found that that was not reasonable justification to put South Korea in a situation of political crisis.
Different pop songs coming on and everybody chanting about the impeachment of Yoon. So certainly this is a very celebratory atmosphere. I've been surprised by the amount of young students who've come down here to say we're here with our friends, we're here because this is a day of history, this is something that we all need to be a part of. And I asked several people how they feel, and most people here who talked about the hope that they had, that this will bring people together, that this is a decision that shouldn't be made in the name of democracy. No doubt in other parts of Seoul with the protesters who were very angry about what's happened have a different opinion. But the overriding feeling here is one of this needed to happen to be able for the country to move on, for the country to show its democratic values, and now it's about bringing people together and making sure that that continues. But I'm sure this is going to be a challenging few weeks and months ahead. Yeah, I spoke to one student who arrived at 11 p.m. last night, who was sat out on a mat, shoes off, looking comfortable, making sure that they could tune into the announcement when it happened. And one student I spoke to who I said, came out at every single protest for the last 16 weeks. She felt it was very important. She talked about, she's a political science student. She said that there's a real divide in the faculty. Talking about politics has become increasingly difficult. There's really, people are really have very strong opinions on either side. And that, she said, it was something that she felt very sad about this country, and the one thing that was needed was unity, and that's something that's come up time and time again, speaking to people here, that there needs to be some kind of unity going forward. Certainly here, the discussion was that this, what happened in December should never have happened, that the impeachment has now been upheld, and that for the democracy here in Korea is only a good thing. But I mean, it's a very different mood across different parts of Seoul. Here, as I said, this is all about celebrating this decision. There's very little kind of police presence, or certainly very obvious police presence around here. And there are, I'd say, there are thousands and thousands of people. They were coming for the last kind of couple of hours. When we arrived, it wasn't empty, but it was certainly filling up. And now it's absolutely packed. People taking turns, take the stage, to talk about the fact that this decision has been upheld. People still cheering, different pop songs coming on, and everybody chanting about the impeachment of Yoon. So certainly this is a very celebratory atmosphere.
여기서 잠시 구독자분들과 가족을 위해 좋은 특가 행사 소개시켜드리도록 하겠습니다. 인생의 60대에 접어들면서 이제 노후 준비와 더불어 가장 신경 써야 하는 것이 뇌 건강이라고 하는데요. 실제 가족분들이 가장 두려워하는 것은 치매와 같은 질병이며 환우가 발생하면 너무 고통이 크다고 합니다. 정신적, 육체적인 괴로움은 물론이고 매월 수백만 원의 경제적 비용이 따르기 때문이죠. 나이가 들어가시는 부모님이 하루가 다르게 점점 다른 모습을 보이실 때 안타까운데요. 특히 깜빡깜빡 무엇을 잘 잊으시는 모습은 세월의 무상함을 느끼게 합니다. 좀 더 위중한 병세로 발전하지 않을까 걱정되는 게 사실이고 본인조차 그런 증상을 겪기도 하는데요. 이는 뇌의 인지력에 관한 문제라고 하는데 포스파티딜세린은 뇌 건강을 위한 성분이며 뇌세포막을 구성하는 중요한 요소라 하네요. 그런데 이는 뇌 기능을 유지하며 인지력 개선에 필수 성분이지만 체내에서 합성되지 않게 별도의 섭취가 필요하며 포스파티딜세린을 섭취 시 노화 인지력 개선에 도움을 줄 수 있습니다. 실제 65세에서 78세를 대상으로 한 실험에서 12주 후 인지력 개선이 나온 것이 확인되었습니다. 따라서 이에 도움 줄 만한 건강식품이 출시되었는데 그 과정은 매우 어려웠다고 하는데요. 포스파티딜세린 425g을 얻기 위해서 대두 100kg을 추출해야 하는 과정을 거쳤으며 이를 위해 미국산 프리미엄 대두 원료를 선별하여 80%의 순도 제품을 만들었습니다. 오늘 소개해드리는 파마코 브레인 PS는 하루 섭취량 100%를 충족하는 제품이며 돌싱폼 앤 미우새 등 국내 지상파 방송에도 홍보되고 홈쇼핑에서도 완판되는 등 인기리 판매 중이라고 합니다. 구독자분들 본인의 뇌 건강을 위해서나 부모님, 지인들을 위해 좋은 선물이 될 것 같습니다. 후기에 부모님을 위해 선물했다가 효과가 좋았다며 꾸준히 계속 주문한 분도 계시고 저희 역시 주변 분들에게 선물해 드렸더니 매우 만족해 하셨습니다. 트래블튜브 구독자 특별 프로모션 가격으로 일주일만 진행하며 하루 한 포로 평생을 지켜내세요. 한 박스를 구매하면 한 박스를 더 드리는 1+1 특별가 구매는 아래 고정 댓글의 링크를 통해 부탁드리겠습니다. 트래블튜브였습니다. 감사합니다.